Hello dear astrology lovers from all over the world, welcome to my channel. My name is Alexandra and I'm a professional ISAR certified astrologer. In today's video I would like to talk about karmic relationships and their main indicators in synastry. So at the very beginning, let's explain what karmic relationships are. So karmic relationships are the kind of relationships that are rooted in our past incarnations, and they carry a heavy energy that was created by an uncomfortable situation or a problem that wasn't successfully solved. So it's like having an uncomfortable energetic node between you and your partner. And by meeting them in this life, the two of you have a chance to untangle that node and let the energy flow in a healthy way. This doesn't necessarily mean that the two of you will stay together forever. So even if you part ways in this lifetime, it's important to do it in a friendly way and not remain enemies. If you manage to bring the energy between you and your partner into balance, it means that the karmic lesson has been learned and your bond, your karmic memory has evolved into a higher stage. It's very important to know that karmic relationships usually don't last for a lifetime. Usually, two souls meet and stay together for a specific period of time because they are passing or trying to pass the karmic test, and whether they pass it successfully or not, they are defining what will happen later in their soul's evolution. So it's your chance to pass this specific test, to react differently in front of the same soul and bring the energy into balance. What are the main indicators of a karmic bond in synastry? So there are three main things that you need to look at when defining whether your relationship is karmic or not. The first thing is the south node. Why is the south node so important? It is important because the south node represents our connection with our past lives, and karmic relationships always come from our past life experience. So if your south node is in conjunction with your partner's ascendant, the ruler of their ascendant, their moon, or any of their personal planets such as Venus, Mars, or Mercury, it means that you knew them in one of their past lives and in one of your past lives. It's also the opposite. If your partner's south node is in conjunction, primarily in conjunction with any of your personal planets or your ascendant. The south node is like an elevator that is taking us down to a specific past life through an experience or a connection we are having with a person in this lifetime. And when connecting with that person, we will be experiencing the same feelings that we experienced in that specific past life. How does this feel in real life? So it's an instant connection. This person will immediately feel familiar to you. So their name and their physical appearance will be new to you because physically you're seeing them for the first time. But on a deeper emotional level, your soul and their soul already know each other, and you will simply feel it. You will feel like this person has been around since ever, and you will not perceive them as a complete stranger. You will not have a rational explanation for it, but there will be a strong familiarity between the two of you. Another thing that you need to look at is the north and south node axis. So the north and the south nodes always come in pair, and they're extremely important when it comes to relationships, right? So they're the main indicator of the type of relationship you're dealing with, whether it's a karmic relationship, a soulmate connection, or a twin flame experience. In this video, we are discussing karmic relationships. So in terms of the nodes in synastry, it means that one person's south and north nodes are in square aspect with the other person's ascendant, the ruler of their ascendant, as well as their sun, moon, the ruler of the 5th or 7th house, or other personal planets. So if one person's node's axis is squaring the other person's horoscope, we are very likely to be dealing with a karmic relationship. This square represents tension, lessons, and unresolved energy from the past. So number one is the South Node. Does it have a conjunction with important planets in one person's horoscopes? Number two is the node's axis. Is it in square with the other person's horoscopes? And step three is Saturn. Saturn is the planet that talks about karma. In our past lives, Saturn used to be Mars. So whatever lives in our Saturn today, in our chart, is what we created through our past lives Mars. So our today's Saturn used to be our Mars, our conscious actions in our previous lifetime. So what is Saturn doing in this synastry? What kind of aspects is it forming? That's exactly what we are looking for and what we want to define. Of course, since we are talking about karmic relationships that are pretty uncomfortable, we are looking for difficult aspects between Saturn and other person's personal planets and their ascendant. If one person's Saturn is in conjunction with the other person's moon, then this relationship can feel too heavy and emotionally draining for the moon person. So the moon person can feel that the relationship is bringing them down, that life with this Saturn person feels gray and joyless. And it often happens that the moon person ends up being abandoned by the Saturn person, and they're generally left with a deep feeling of sorrow and loneliness. So they carry the weight of bitterness of Saturn, and it takes them a lot of time to heal. On the other hand, sometimes the moon person is the one who leaves simply because they can't deal with the strong Saturnian energy anymore. So the relationship just feels too heavy and they just decide to walk away. So the moon represents our heart chakra, it represents our soul, and when it's suppressed by someone's Saturn, it feels like you almost can't breathe while being in this relationship. You feel depressed. You feel like your soul is drained and tired. You can literally become depressed. So this relationship can bring a lot of heavy and negative, depressing energy into your life. And it's very hard to live in this kind of relationship for a long period of time. When your moon is in conjunction with someone's Saturn, you may also feel like this relationship is not meant to be, and you might not even be able to explain it on the rational level, but deep down, when it comes to your inner instinct, you can just feel and know that it's not meant to be, and that generally brings that feeling of sadness, which is typical for Saturn when in conjunction with your moon. Of course, if someone's Saturn is squaring your moon or making an opposition to it, it's also difficult, but conjunction is definitely the strongest aspect when it comes to synastry and any of the planets, especially if we are talking about Saturn, because Saturn's impact is at its strongest point when in conjunction. Also, when it comes to uncomfortable aspects between one person's Saturn and other person's personal planets, it's extremely uncomfortable to have Saturn in a square between other person's Venus, Moon, Sun, or Mars. So this square is another clear indicator of a karmic relationship. It is especially uncomfortable when one person's Saturn is in square with other person's Mars. This is a very strong and typical karmic aspect. So it often points to a memory from a previous life where the ancestors of these two people were enemies. So perhaps they were opponents in a war, and they left behind a difficult karmic imprint between these two souls. And they are now meeting again, and they are experiencing the same or similar feelings, which are uncomfortable, and they might not feel them at the very beginning, because at the very beginning it's the positive aspects that feel and come to the surface immediately. The Pitra aspects, especially the Saturnian aspects, they get to be seen later on. You start feeling them later on as the time goes by, as you go deeper into this relationship. But at the very beginning, you will feel very light aspects, like positive aspects between your Moon and Venus and Jupiter and your Sun and their Moon and vice versa. So it's the positive aspects that make you start that relationship. But when it comes to Saturn, it starts feeling much later. So now these two souls that we're talking about are meeting again in this lifetime, and it's their task to transform that memory by bringing the energy into harmony. What does that mean? No matter the circumstances, no matter what's going on with you in this lifetime, and even if you decide to separate, to break up, or to divorce, it's important to forgive, to understand, to let go, to wish love and peace to your person, to your partner, no matter what happened, because by understanding and by creating that friendly relationship, you are bringing your karmic energy into balance. You are simply changing and transforming the memory that was left by your ancestors. And that means that your and your partner's souls are moving on with their evolution. They are getting into a higher stage, and you are now leaving a much better memory for your upcoming incarnations. So the fact that you met was simply a karmic test. It was your opportunity to change the way you acted and reacted in front of this soul. So are you going to react in the same way or in a similar way like you did in your past incarnation or in one of your past incarnations when you were in contact with this soul that now looks differently in terms of the physical level? Or you are raising your consciousness, you are changing the way you react, you are changing the relationship that you are building with this person, you are creating a friendly atmosphere, you are bringing the energy into balance. That's absolutely up to you. Another important thing to know is that every person, every soul we meet lives in our horoscopes, and it's depicted by one of our planets. So no matter who we are dealing with, we are always dealing with one of our planets, which means we're dealing with a part of our own selves. So it's always good to be aware of that and create a positive and harmonious energy with the person that we have in front of us. Another important aspect is Saturn's square with Venus in synastry. And it usually means that not only the relationship is karmic, but it also has a time limit. So Venus is about love and partnership, and Saturn is about time and structure. So when these two square each other in synastry, it means that time, which is Saturn, works against love, which is Venus. As time passes, the Saturn person can start becoming colder and colder until they no longer love the Venus person. So it's the Venus person who can feel abandoned and who can actually end up being abandoned by their partner. And in general, when someone's Saturn forms a hard aspect with someone else's personal planet, in this case Venus, it's always the person with the personal planet who feels the loss or abandonment. Another important aspect, and the last one for today, is Saturn square Sun. So much like the moon, the sun person can feel like the relationship is too heavy, but from a different perspective. When it comes to the moon, we are talking about our soul and our feelings. And when it comes to the sun, we are talking about our self-image, our self-expression, our ego. So if someone's Saturn is squaring our sun, it means that we might feel that it's too difficult to be who we truly are next to this person. We might feel that our ego is blocked, that our personality is blocked. We might feel that, we have to shrink or become smaller to be accepted by this person. So everything that represents our authentic self might feel blocked by this relationship. And eventually, as the time goes by, this can become deeply exhausting for the sun person, which can result in the sun person abandoning the Saturn person, or like in most cases, the Saturn person can abandon the sun person. So this was the last aspect that I wanted to discuss today. And to sum up everything, if you're determining whether your relationship is karmic, first of all, look at the South Node, because remember, the South Node is the elevator that is taking you to your past life experiences. If your South Node is connected to someone else's personal planets or their ascendant, you definitely knew them in one of your previous incarnations and they are familiar to you. Then look at the node's axis and check if it's in square with the other person's personal planet and their ascendant. And the third thing to look at is Saturn and its aspects towards your partner's personal planets and ascendant, and vice versa. These are three crucial steps when defining whether your partner is karmic or not. And these were the main indicators of a karmic relationship. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you're always up to date with my new videos. Thank you so much and see you in the next one.